Jeffrey's high-pitched, weak little voice makes him a target for bullies and disrespectful people. He doesn't realize just how important the tone of his voice is.
Why can't people just like me for me?
Jeffrey, you don't even like you for you. The reality of life is that sometimes you have to change yourself to be more accepted by the tribe. You have to show more of the signs of being a high status, confident, masculine man to be treated with respect. That's just the nature of the world. You can say that that's inauthentic and complain about it, but then suffer the consequences of it. Or you can just get good at the game of life, of social skills and relationships. So what'll it be, Jeffrey? Are you gonna activate your deep voice using the special technique from this video or not? Adonis. Adonis's voice is more deep than the ocean. The resonance and the clarity, the crisp sound of his voice. Oh, Adonis, say something else. Keep talking. When Adonis talks, everybody listens, especially the ladies. I saw a study that basically showed how deep your voice should be, especially if you want to be attractive to women. So they got a bunch of women to listen to men's voices and then choose the one that they found most sexually attractive. So which guy, just based on his voice, they would want to fuck. And the results might surprise you because it was much deeper than most people think. So the exact number they said was like 112 decibels or some shit like that. But basically it was the same tone as Barack Obama's voice, about the same tone that I'm speaking with right now.
A president is a public servant.
So this is deeper than 95% of guys' voices. And I think that symbolizes a lot more of being the sort of confident, powerful, dominant man. Now, of course, you don't have to do any of these. I can give you the disclaimer, you don't have to be sat around practicing to make your voice deeper. You can go out and do whatever you want instead and say that this is foolish. But if you are the kind of guy who likes to max out all the stats, your voice and your speaking skills is actually one of them. So why not max out this stat as well? And I started leveling up this skill when I was about 13 years old. So I used to play Minecraft with a bunch of other kids, and we'd all be using Skype, a video call, voice call software. So we all hop on a Skype group call and we're all just playing Minecraft, killing each other, killing random kids, whatever. And I was the oldest in this group, so I was kind of the leader of, I would be the one who would come on and tell the guys, okay, which server we're gonna play on, join this one, let's do this tactic, whatever. And because of that, I also wanted to be treated as such. I wanted to be treated as a high status position. Now, this is before I knew about status. I'm just kind of analyzing what I did when I was 13 years old without knowing anything about testosterone status, those kinds of things, right? But what I realized when going onto these calls was that the kids who had a high-pitched voice were often disrespected and not taken seriously. You know how kids in real life, or even animals like dogs, will basically belittle and bully the weaker boy. The exact same is unfortunately true even in the gaming world, even on online games and on the voice chat. When we'd play with a kid who had a high-pitched voice, some of the other kids would be mean to him right away. This kid who's just joined, they might be 10 years old or something. He's not actually shown any sign that he's a bad person or even a bad player, but he'd instantly be positioned low down in the sort of group that we were in just by the sound of his voice. And there was a certain disrespectful insult that we used to call these kids, which was squeaker. So a kid would come on, and if he had a high-pitched voice, someone else in the voice call would be oh, we've got a squeaker here, and they'd start just chatting shit and bullying this kid. Usually I would tell you oh yeah, I've done the bad thing in my videos, I usually own up. But actually this was something I never did, because I was getting bullied in school. I had so many kids being racist to me, and just so much shit. I was getting basically bullied by my parents, threatened and abused. Games were the one place where I had as a safe space. So when I would see this, it would personally offend me. It would personally hurt me. No one would ever say this shit to me because, again, I was the oldest of the group that we used to play in. But it would just hurt me seeing some other kid get bullied because I was experiencing that, not on the game, but in real life. So I never took part in this. But I also never wanted to become a victim like them. In fact, let me just tell you one more part of this story. In fact, one of the youngest kids who we used to play with, he had a high-pitched voice. I think he was like 9 when I first met him, and I was maybe like 12 or something. And we played Minecraft together for years. Eventually, I get like older. I turn like 15 or something, and I don't really want to play games as much, or I want to play like League of Legends instead of Minecraft or whatever. We don't play as much. You know, it's that sad moment when you've bonded with someone for years and then you just stop playing the same game as them and you stop like hanging out with them and whatever. And he was a good kid. He was from Sweden. Like we opened up to each other, you know, because we played together and we were friends for years. And what's interesting is he had like the highest pitched voice because he was the youngest kid. But actually I used to like defend him a lot when any time like someone would try and like say some shit to him, because he was a good player and he was just like a good kid as well. You know, I liked him. But the crazy thing that happened was me and him didn't talk or anything for ages, and one day I logged back into like the server that we all used to play on, or like some popular Minecraft server, and I'm on Minecraft for the first time in years. I think I might even be like 17 or something like that, and it just so happens that I randomly get someone writing in the chat my name, like, you know, my Minecraft name, and I see the name of the person who wrote my name, and it's him. And it's so fucking crazy. It's been years since we spoke. We end up getting each other on like Discord or Skype or something, go onto a call. His voice is a little bit deeper. He's like maybe 14 years old now or something. We're like just reminiscing of the times when we used to play like every single day together. And then years later, I'm like 24, 25 years old. I'm doing well on like YouTube. He ends up finding my videos, you know, supports me and everything. And he even joined I had like a paid product, like a online school. He like a community, like he joins that and everything as well. So it was nice. Like I've known this guy for like 10 years. There's even a time when it was so wholesome. It was like I was live streaming on YouTube and then I saw his name pop up in the YouTube chat, and we had the first like call again for the last like few years. So it's actually like a video call between us, and yeah, it's wholesome. That's on YouTube somewhere if you want to go check, like Hamza old Minecraft friend or something like that. I'm sure it might pop up for you. Because of the bullying the younger kids would get by having a higher pitched voice, I wanted to make sure that I was never in that position. So there was something I started to do, which you could start right now, which meant that now when I wake up, my voice is fairly deep. Through the day, it definitely gets higher pitched than this. Like I've just woke up, right? 6 a.m. It definitely gets higher pitched than this as I go through the day, and I'm kind of purposefully kind of making it a little bit deeper for the sake of this video. But the number one thing that I did was just try. Like, I know it's going to sound anticlimactic, but I just kind of tried to have a deeper voice. And what I found was that over time, the deep voice that I had put on manually became my normal voice automatically. So when I would be going onto these calls, I would make my voice just a little bit deeper. Not so much, not that, you know, it sounds like crazy and fake like this. Like, I wouldn't make it so extreme. But for example, if this is my voice right now, like this is me not changing anything at all, this is exactly my normal voice right here, right now, I'd probably make it a little bit deeper like this, maybe a little bit slower, 10-25% slower, 10-25% deeper. Then there's the piece of advice that I always give anytime someone ever asks me about having a deep voice or a sexy kind of voice. And this is particularly good if you're on a date with a girl as well. And I learned this from a friend in university, and he used to call it down talking. And it's actually like, it turns out to be so scientifically valid as well. Down talking is the number one skill if you want to have a deep voice. And it's where you make just the last word of your sentence lower pitched, making sure that you don't go higher pitched for it. When you end your sentence with a higher pitch, it makes you seem kind of weak and insecure. Hey, do you know what day the homework is due for? Do you know when the homework is due for? Can you pass me that pen over there? Can you pass me that pen over there? When you go higher pitched on the last word, it's kind of like the message it sends is like you're seeking approval and acceptance from people. It's a particularly like feminine trait. Like when a girl is like cuddled up with you and she's trying to make you like do something, she'll be ending her sentences with a higher pitch. Particularly if a girl likes you, you'll notice her words, her sentences will always end with a higher pitch. And when she often doesn't like you, she might speak with a bit more of like a manly voice. But even the same is true for guys and the level of power that we feel like we have. If you're in a situation where you feel kind of awkward, you might find yourself speaking with a higher pitch without even realizing it, because it's almost the equivalent of like a dog kind of getting onto his back and showing his belly to the other dogs to say like, oh, hey guys, I'm a bitch. I'm no threat to you guys. I'm no threat. You know, see, look, I'm on my back. You could kill me right now. It's okay. Like I'm I'm the beta male here. And the big dogs will kind of nod and be like, okay, he's a bitch, let's keep moving. That's what you're showing when you have the higher pitched voice, when you speak too fast, and particularly when it ends on the high pitched. When you use the down talking technique, which is where you manually make the last word a little bit deeper, like that. Not higher pitch like this, where you end on like a higher note. Lower pitch like this, where you start to end on a lower note. I had a student on a video call recently, and he asked me, how can he be seen as more of a sexually attractive man? He can attract girls, he can get them on dates, but they end up seeing him more kind of like a friend. Why is he placed more in the sort of beta male category rather than the alpha male category? It sounds cringe to use beta alpha, but everyone kind of understands what those terms mean, right? And he felt like he was being put into that category, and he was asking why. And I said his voice and the way he talks is probably one of the biggest ones, because this guy was attractive, he was charming, he was social, he had a lot of things going. He still had like a giggly boy kind of voice. And don't get me wrong, look, it's like, you know, like for friends and stuff, I'll be like goofing around, I'll be laughing and whatever, right? And that's absolutely fine. You can go and completely relax when you're with some friends. But when you are trying to show like the best version of you and you're trying to be presentable, of course, then you put more effort in, right? So it's like, look, next to your best friend, you can have like a stain on your t-shirt and not really think too much about it. Like, let's say you're at home right now, right? You can wear like the comfy clothes and not think too much about it. Next to a girl you've just met or a girl you're on a date with, of course, you're going to dress better than that. So likewise, next to your close friends and people who you know, you can speak without needing to change anything. But there comes a time when it's actually your benefit to change something. Some people will say this is inauthentic. I just call this effort. If you're by yourself, it's okay to shit and fart and burp. It's okay to like pick your nose. But then you don't do those things on a first date. Is that inauthentic? No, it's just fucking putting in effort to be more presentable to the person in front of you. So along with that, you might sit with like really poor posture at home because you don't really care. You might talk too fast when you're speaking to your mom or whatever. Okay, because it doesn't really matter. But when you're trying to actually attract someone, then obviously you do the things that would attract them, which is, you know, turning on the deeper voice that you have. So try this as an action step right now. Make your voice deeper, just manually just trying to make it deeper, and make it a little bit slower than usual, and try and follow along to the words that I'm saying and listen to what I'm saying and how deep and resonant my voice is right now. This is about the pitch that you want to be at for the ultimate attractiveness. Now, if your voice is not usually this deep and you come into school the next day or work the next day and you start speaking with a super, super deep voice, then of course people are going to call you out and call it cringe. Like, what are you doing? This is why you only want to make it slightly deeper every few days in front of people who know you. If someone ever asks you like, what happened to your voice? Why does it sound so croaky, whatever? You can just casually shrug your shoulders and be like, oh yeah, my throat hurts. That's it. Just say that. And it's like, people will just be like, oh, okay. Never actually tell people like, oh yeah, bro, I watched this YouTube video and the guy said I'll get my dick sucked if I make my voice deeper. Like, don't actually, you can go tell your friends, of course, but like, don't actually go and tell this in front of people who you know will like mock you for it. That's it. Go give that a try. Goodbye. Mwah.